What's good, y'all? Welcome to Brain Burst. This is your boy Jacoby. Now, I'm gonna get into this real quick since this is the first video. What this channel entails is mostly just real weird topics that you gotta really think about. I don't even know how to describe it. You're just gonna have to watch the videos. But I'll try to post at least weekly, and if you have something that you want me to discuss or talk about, just comment in any video and I'll try to get to it. Now, I got my lucky charms, so let's get it. The first video and the whole reason I started this channel is because of a time travel discussion that I had with my friends. So that's going to be the topic of discussion today. Now, time travel is really weird when you think about it. Like just going to a different part of time, it just doesn't even make sense. Like if you traveled back in time and you change stuff, then that ultimately changes everything in the future. But there's a chance that it won't, because if you went back in time to change something that would affect the future, wouldn't you have already went back in time? So on the current timeline, everything would have already happened the way it should have been, because while it was happening, it was kind of like you were already back there changing stuff to make it happen. I don't know how to describe it, but in Harry Potter, the third movie, they travel back in time, and in that one scene where Hermione throws the rock and hits Harry in the back of the head, in real time he felt that hit him in the back of the head. So if you travel back in time, does it even really change anything? Because it's kind of already the way that it's supposed to be. And what's the whole rule with, oh, you're not allowed to see yourself travel back in time? Is that really gonna change anything? If you saw yourself clear as day and they walked up to you and were like, I'm you from the future, I'd be like, oh shit, no way, that's sick. What are you doing here? Probably be my first question. But it's not really gonna affect anything, is it? Because it takes you back to the last point. They came back in time and saw you, but whenever they leave on the current timeline, you're still gonna continue as is until you make the time machine and come back in time and see yourself. So I don't really see what the problem is there, honestly. Because if it changes something, it really doesn't change anything, because on the current timeline, it's going to happen no matter what, that you're still going to come back in time. It's kind of like a continuous loop, kind of. So nothing would really change. That doesn't make sense. And then there's the whole debate, if you went back in time and killed yourself or changed something that would you were never born, you would obviously, in the timeline where you traveled back in time, you would kind of just disappear. But there's certain loopholes in that. I was having this debate, if you locked yourself in the closet and you just kind of took yourself's place, okay, you travel back in time to whatever point that you are in the current timeline, and you lock yourself in the closet, and then you take yourself's place on that timeline. So yourself is still locked in the closet. So wouldn't that mean that you wouldn't be able to, you're trapped in the closet forever, so you would never be able to go on in life to make the time machine to be able to get yourself to come back in time. So you would eventually, like, you wouldn't even be able to exist. Like, you wouldn't be able to come back in time. It'd be almost if you died, because there's no way that you would be able to come back in time because you changed everything and locked yourself in the closet. Now, the point that I made is that obviously at some point you would have had to been able to get yourself out of the closet, because there's no way that you would have been able to come back in time in the first place. Because like I said, in real time, whatever you're doing right now is kind of like happening, like your future self is already doing it to you. So whatever your future self would have done in that timeline, it wouldn't have mattered, because you would have had to been able to get out of the closet at some point to be able to have your future self even come back to you. So I don't know. What do you think on that subject? Just comment down below on your opinion on that whole debate. Now, I was also having this little discussion with myself last night. If you traveled into the future and changed stuff, like, I was thinking about this hardcore last night. Let's say that I have a time machine right now, and I time traveled like a week or two now and just went and sat at Sheets, got a hot dog and sat down at Sheets, and that was it. And then I came back to the real time, and then myself would wait a week until the point where I time traveled and then went to go find myself at Sheets. But like, if I went and saw myself in the future, like, what would that change? Because like, my future self came back in time, so would that even really matter? Or like, what if someone saw you, like, oh, there's twins, but there's no way they can be twins because they're exactly alike. Like, and if you think about it, it's weird how, like, the smallest thing, like, you change the smallest thing, it can have the biggest impact. Like, if you didn't do your homework one day and then you got a 0 on the homework, and then you like failed the test because you were studying too hard because your grade was already behind, but then you like just whatever, you just fucked up. As opposed to if you went back in time and got a good grade on the homework, you'd already be ahead in the class, so you really wouldn't have any worries. But then in this timeline where you messed up the class, you failed the class, you dropped out of school, you're like homeless now, you don't have anything going for you, as opposed to like the one little thing, like you did the homework and then you're super successful, you're like the CEO of a company just because like the one little thing. It's just wild to think about. There's a lot of good time travel movies too. They kind of get you like thinking about that. Like in that Disney Channel movie, Minutemen, that was such a good movie, honestly. Like, they travel back in time. I might get some of the details wrong because I can't really remember. But they travel back in time to like that one point that like messed everything up, and then they changed it in the future, and like things were so much different. I can't even remember, honestly, but like just the one little thing, you know? And honestly, what if you traveled back in time like a day? Like, let's say I'm sitting here today, and then right after I'm done, I go travel back in time to yesterday, but then I never like come back to real time. So I just like live that out. in the other dimension or timeline forever. Like, just like a day behind. I don't know. Time travel is just something to think about, honestly. It's wild. I kind of hope that we never invent time travel. Because, like I said, the one little thing, like, imagine if, like the intentions would be so good, but it would just be bad. Like, if someone's like, let's invent time travel, and then go make sure World War I never happened. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea, because World War I is terrible. Let's try to, like, prevent that from happening. So you go back in time, and you somehow manage to stop World War I from happening. Okay, great. But you got to think about when you come back in time to, like, the real point, what's going to be different? Probably a lot of things, honestly. Like, I'm not even going to get into, like, the possibilities of what would be different, but you guys can just imagine if World War I never happened, World War II never happened. What if, like, the world was just so peaceful? Like, and you come back into real time, 2018, everything would be different. Literally everything. Or if you, like, you travel into the future and, like, I don't even want to think about going in the future, but you go into the future and you, like, say you're from the past, and then, like, people in the future, like, don't, it depends on how far you go in the future, honestly, because that's, like, the thing. In most of these scenarios, you don't really, like, discuss, like, how far you're gonna go back, or in front, I guess, because that would make a pretty big difference. Like, if you go back yesterday, like, I didn't even do anything yesterday, I just kind of sat around. If I went back yesterday, I really, like, nothing would change no matter what I did, honestly. But if I went back, like, 15 years ago and changed some stuff, then a lot would be different right now. So you kind of got to, like, think about how far you're going back and, like, the consequences, obviously. Like, if I went back 18 years ago and, like, I don't know, somehow set my dad up with, like, a different girl, I wouldn't be here right now. Like, think about that. Like, like, think about that. If someone invented time travel and went back in time and, like, changed something, so, like, let's say they changed something, so, like, okay, I'll use this as an example. Like, Mark Zuckerberg's dad met some other girl, and then they had a kid that wasn't Mark Zuckerberg, and then Facebook was never invented because they had a kid that wasn't Mark Zuckerberg. And then think about that, because Facebook was, like, the foundation for all social media. So we wouldn't even have, like, Instagram or Twitter. And, like, think about how that would affect, like, our world. Like, we live on social media right now. Like, when you come back, it wouldn't even be like, oh, whatever, the world's the same. Facebook wasn't invented. A lot of things would be different just because, like, you changed something that, like, you didn't even know. Like, you weren't even trying to change. But Mark Zuckerberg's dad somehow met some other girl just because, like, you were in the same area. And, like, you might have cut them off in, like, a split second. So he looked at another girl and they fell in love. And then Facebook wasn't invented. I mean, things might be generally the same. But just think about a world without, like, any social media. No Facebook, no Instagram, no Twitter, no Snapchat, no whatever. I mean, things would be so much different. And you weren't even trying to change that. That's the crazy thing. Like, you can change stuff that, like, you weren't even trying to change just because you were there. I mean, final opinion, I think time travel is a terrible idea. I hope it never gets invented, honestly. That would be terrible for a lot of reasons. I think I'm going to wrap it up on today's video. I'm going to be making more videos, but if you guys have any ideas or topics that you want me to discuss, just comment down below. I'll try to get to them, or maybe I'll like make a Twitter poll or something to see which ones you guys want to hear the most. This first video was a little rusty. I'm going to try to get better. I'm also tired, so work with me a little bit. I might have missed some details, but oh well. So just comment, always like and subscribe, you know, help the channel grow, get more followers or whatever, so I can make better, bigger discussions. And always thank you.